Hey guys, Travis here. Today I want to talk about testosterone replacement therapy. So I'm going to spend a lot of time on this channel talking about things that have improved my life. We'll talk about diet, exercise, mental health quite a bit. That's a subject that I feel pretty strongly about. I think it's kind of important. And so I talked about a little bit in the last video about meditation, just doing that and how it kind of helped me to focus on the here and the now and not stress about things that have happened in the past or things that might come in the future. And I kind of alluded to that there were other problems also that were giving me a hard time. And I mentioned chemical. And so I found out in about 2014 that I had low testosterone. And honestly, the biggest symptom that I suffered from that was depression. There was others. I mean, low energy. I just kind of wrote that off to physical exhaustion and stress and the rest. Lower libido, same thing. Thought, life's hard right now. I'm stressed. And even the depression is just like, well, things aren't going good. I'd been, I guess, underemployed for 5 or 6 years. I ended up being unemployed for about a year. And I mean, during that whole time, I'm trying to find work and couldn't. And it was a tough time. And you just start to get discouraged. You kind of start to lose hope. It's something I'll get into another time, maybe in another video, is that experience kind of helped me understand maybe what it feels like to be in a place where you don't have hope. It made me think in terms of public policy about what it's like when we've got communities that have been economically and socially depressed for decades or generations. I think the problems are pretty complex there. Sometimes in terms of public policy, we talk about redistribution of wealth, taxing rich people and giving it to poor people. And whether or not you think that's the solution, I think that it's more complex than that. And I think that when you have communities that have been depressed or hopeless for long periods of time, I don't think redistribution of wealth is going to just fix the problem, whether or not that's a good policy prescription by itself. So anyhow, we'll get into that maybe another time. But again, I talk about this stuff because there are people who do well all the time. I mentioned that in the meditation video, people who never really struggle with depression or anxiety, or at least they deal with it really well and get over it quickly. And I think most of us are probably varying degrees of anxiety and depression and stress. That's kind of the human experience. And I'm just interested in finding better ways to cope with it. For me, meditation helps. It might be something that you try. I think for a lot of people, chemical problems can also be part of it. My grandmother suffered from bipolar disorder, and if she got off whatever medications they had her on, she was like schizophrenic. She would literally see and hear voices and just completely be off the rocker and have to get admitted into the mental hospital. So for her, she had to be on some kind of a chemical fix. So everybody's kind of got, I think, varying degrees of stuff, and you may not need medicine, but you may just need to cope with stress better, or you might have some kind of chemical imbalance. For me, I did. I had low testosterone. So what I want to do in this video, a couple of things, is I want to share my experience about it, let you know kind of where I was at and where I got to, what the process was. For me, even talking about this on video is actually kind of a step, because for the last 4 or 5 years that I've been on it, I really kept it to myself. I don't know why, but I always was kind of embarrassed by it. Only recently have I kind of started to open up. And then every time that I do and I talk to people, they go, "Why are you embarrassed about that?" I don't know. I guess I thought I wasn't supposed to have that problem. I'm too young or whatever. And maybe I'm the only person with that hang up, but maybe I'm not. Maybe there's other people that would have that hang up and it would prevent them from getting help. So with that, I'm going to give you a couple things. I'm going to talk to you about the products that I use that were prescribed to me. I have never done this illegally. And kind of talk to you about, well, I'll show you my charts. I'll show you what my numbers here were when my testosterone started out. So I've got my chart results here from Renown Medical Center. And actually, the first time I had my testosterone tested was with St. Mary's, so those results aren't here. But this is my first testosterone result from 2015 15. So you'll see the scale here. Let's see if we can get that for you. So you can see that number was at 239, I think. I'm reading it backwards. But below 300 there is medically necessary to have testosterone replacement therapy. And you can kind of see the high end there is at 1,000. So that gives you an idea of where I was starting at, let's say in 2015. So we'll fast forward to, we'll say 1 year. About a year later, no, let me stop here actually. So at that point, I started using a product called Axiron. So Axiron is a testosterone replacement therapy that it comes in this little tube, and the tube has like a rubber cup on the top, and you squirt the product into this cup, and you kind of rub it into your armpit. That's not like deodorant, which is what I thought I was getting when the doctor prescribed this to me. I thought that it would work like that. It doesn't. It's like water. So you can't stand up. You have to lay down, lay on your side. You have to kind of pour it in there, and you don't rub it in or anything. You literally have to lay there until it dries. And that's like 10 to 20 minutes per armpit. So it's really inconvenient. It took a lot of time. My numbers didn't get up really high. In fact, here's the next test about a year later being on that. So I'm at 243. Like, it didn't make a whole lot of difference for me. Doesn't mean that it wouldn't for you, but it didn't for me. And it was expensive. So for a while there, I was getting help from my doctor on the price. But eventually I had to go in, and I didn't have insurance, and so I went in to pay the cash price for this. And so for the minimum dosage per month, it was $800 for 1 month supply for the minimum dosage. And the minimum dosage was getting me to 243. So I ended up, I don't remember how I worked it out, but I got a prescription discount card. I signed up like on their website, and they gave me like a discount. That's what it was, for like a year, and the first one was free or whatever. But I got to the point where I needed double that amount. So cash price on that was $1,600 a month. So I got to the point when kind of the discount ran out. I told my doctor, we got to try something else. I can't do a mortgage every month for this medicine. So then we tried Androgel. So Androgel is another popular one out there, and so this one is a similar product, but it's more jelly. You squirt it in your hand and you rub it on your shoulders. You do kind of one squirt in each hand on each shoulder. And so with a discount card and my insurance, that cost me a month. 1 month supply for the minimum was $180. And that was better than $800 or $1,600, but not inexpensive. And again, with this topical treatment, I found that I wasn't getting the results I needed, so we had to up it. So for the maximum, I basically doubled the dosage and doubled the cost. And so Androgel was costing me $360 a month. I did that for a couple months until I gave up on that. Let me see if I can find a test result for you on that. There you go. So this is in August of 2017. So I'm making some progress there. The Androgel worked pretty good. Double the amount, $360 a month. I was at $473 for my count, which is in the healthier range, but it's not good. It's not close to 1,000, but it's above the 300, which is kind of the minimum that they establish. But then I still decided after a few months of that $360 a month was probably still a bit steep. And so I asked my doctor about doing the injectable type of testosterone. And I never wanted to do that. You're never going to catch me injecting myself with anything. I don't like needles. So that was the reason that I did the topical forever, because I came to realize that I needed testosterone, but I was not about to use needles. So I tried the topical for years and never really got great results. I mean, I could get up to 300-400 maybe on my count, but that was it. And that was expensive and just not sustainable really. So I broke down and told my doctor I'd try the injectable. And when I went in there, they went in, you go in, you bring the product and the needles, and they show you how to inject yourself. And let's not kid anybody, I don't inject myself. My wife does it for me. But she went with me and they showed her how to do it. And I'm laying on the table, palms are sweaty. I'm like, I'm just going to suck it up, but I don't want to do it. And it was nothing. It was absolutely nothing. Which is part of the reason I want to tell this story, because if you're a wimp like me and you don't like needles, I don't want that to hold you back. If you've ever had your blood drawn, it's less uncomfortable than that. And having your blood drawn's really not that bad. I don't like that either. It's not the painful part. It's just kind of the idea that somebody's sucking my blood. I don't like that. But getting the testosterone injection is as close to painless, I think, as you can get. It was almost completely painless and still is. So while I'm on that really quick, let me kind of show you what I use here. Because these are all specific questions I wish somebody could have answered for me before I got to this point. So I'm trying to answer them for you. So these are the needles that I use. So the one over here in the pink, that is an 18 gauge needle. So I don't stab myself with that. That's what I draw the product out of the vial with. The bigger the needle is, the easier the product is to move. So if you're trying to suck the product out with a really small needle, it's going to be really hard. So I use the 18 gauge to draw it out, and I use the 25 gauge needle to inject. This is really small. And so this is the smallest one that I've tried that works. I imagine that if you went small enough, it wouldn't be possible to inject the product. But I'll just tell you from firsthand experience, you can use a 25 gauge needle. It doesn't go as quickly as it probably could if I use the 18, but I'm not using the 18. So, and that's cheap. So we'll get to that. That's another real benefit to using the injectable. A 3-month supply of needles and syringes runs me like $15 or $20. And this is December of 2017. These are my results. This is just not even a month on it. Let's see here. Then I had to get it tested again in January for some other health reasons. I was having some heart problems, and they thought it might be related to the testosterone if it was too low. So I had to get it tested again just in January. So just a little more than a month later, now I'm up to 728. And so this is my most recent test right here, March of 2018. Now that's what I'm talking about. So I can tell you the results that I have experienced. The biggest symptom again that I had was depression. There were definitely times when I would feel depressed and feel anxiety and had no explanation for it. It's not like something happened that day. And I worried a little bit that, well, I know bipolar disorder runs in my family, so I don't know, maybe I'm having symptoms of that. Since my testosterone has come up to normal levels, I haven't had that issue at all. So that could be something that you might want to ask your doctor about. I talked to another doctor in the urgent care when I was going in for the heart problem about the fact that I was on testosterone. I said, well, we did an EKG. She said, your heart doesn't look good. I said, well, these are different things that I've had. Mitral valve prolapse, which I don't have, but I was diagnosed in '93 with that. I told her about the testosterone therapy. She said, well, if you've just changed prescriptions, and I had back in December, she said it's possible that your numbers have tanked, and because your body's not responding to the product or whatever. And I said, yeah, I said, I've always been embarrassed to talk about it. And she goes, why? I said, I don't know. I just think that shouldn't be a problem. She said, my husband's been on it since he was in his early 30s. I said, oh, what kind of symptoms did he have? And she said his biggest symptom was that he would need to take naps every day. Every day in the middle of the day, he'd need to take naps. So, if any of this rings a bell for you, then look it up on Google. See kind of what your symptoms are. Low energy, low libido, depression. Sometimes these things are chemical, and it was for me, and this made a huge improvement in my life. So back to the cost. So for a 3-month supply of this testosterone, 200 milligrams, so you can get 100 and 200 milligrams. It's the concentration level, I guess. 100 is a lower concentration level, 200 is a higher concentration level. I'm on the 200. Your doctor will help you figure out what you need if indeed you need anything at all. But for a 3-month supply of that is $30. So for $50, I've got a 3-month supply of testosterone that's working twice or even 3 times better than what I was using for topical at a tenth of the price. I mean, Again, those are all things that I wish somebody could have explained to me. And you know how it is in our system of healthcare. You don't know the price of anything. You go to the doctor and you have to have insurance. And the doctor doesn't even know the price of anything. They don't know the price of the prescriptions. They can't tell you what your price is going to be, maybe what your copay is. Nobody knows any prices in our healthcare system. So I thought that sharing that might help you if this is kind of a direction that you end up going. So, like the video, that's my story. Please leave it a thumbs up. And if you're interested in more content like this, ways to find better physical and mental health, go ahead and subscribe. You can find me on Facebook at Travis Talks and also on my website at travistalks.net. Thanks for listening. We'll talk again soon.